From absolutely nothing to finished product, including renders, in under 15 minutes. Let's see if we can do it. What's going on, guys? My name's David Tomic and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, firstly, thank you so much for joining me. I am a registered architect in the state of Western Australia. Today, we are looking at creating and designing something from scratch on ArchiCAD 24. I'm going to be taking you through the process of starting out, setting up your templates and all your views, taking it into twinmotion and exporting it. That's the goal, at least. Let's see what we can achieve. Okay, so we've opened up ArchiCAD 24 with the Australian standard template. Whatever template you open up is probably going to be the same as what I see here in front of me. If you don't see these side panels here on the right hand side, you can easily go to Window, Palettes, and open up your trace and reference, which is the top right hand one, and the navigator, which is the bottom one that you see. So to start off a project, we always want to start by pressing Command 7, which opens up the story settings. It's either Control or Command, depending on what system you're working on. We want to start up by inserting one below and creating a footings layer, which needs to be roughly minus 172 below the ground. It gives you the thickness of the slab. Ground can be 3 meters for the purpose of the argument. First can be another 3 meters, but what you want to do is insert another story and go ground ceiling and give that potentially about 300 mil, and then do the same for the roof. And all we want to do is click OK here. If we start with a slab on the right hand side, you can click the slab tool and you can draw a very simple slab. You click once and it will start dragging. The second time you click, it'll finish that slab. What we want to do is actually delete that, click the slab tool, click it once and type. So maybe we want to make this project 20 meters by 6 meters. And we have our first slab. If we want to show everything in 3D, it's up here. But if you ever accidentally close that tab, you can right click and show all in 3D. So there we have it. We have our first slab, which you can orientate and orbit around by holding Shift and the center scroll wheel. So we have our slab. If we wanted to change the material of that slab, we can click Command T to open up the slab section materiality palette, or you can click this little icon here. If we click that, it opens up the dialog, and we can either do a generic roof slab, change elements through that, or we can simply change the material of it. If we click Link All, it automatically links everything in that section. Let's say we want that slab to be concrete, so we're going to try find a concrete. There we go. On the right hand side, we have concrete. Let's go concrete light 23 for the purposes of the argument. And there we go. It automatically changes the look and feel of that slab. Now these textures are important later on when we move to twinmotion, because twinmotion links all of your textures that you have used that are identical. So if you go and place concrete on a wall that you want to be a different texture, it's automatically going to join those two and you're not going to be able to differentiate them. So we want to make sure we get the textures right. Moving back to the ground floor plan, we're going to use our first wall tool. What you're going to see is everything comes with layers. Layers are important because you can change layers how you want, so you can have different views for different things. This is an external wall for the purposes of this, so it can stay on external wall. The type of wall in itself, we can start with the outside face, which is demonstrated like that. And if you want to flip it, you can just do the P button, or you can click the little rotate button there. So we can do the outside face, we can do the center line, or we can do the inside face, depending on how you want to draw that wall. For argument's sake, we're going to do outside face, and we have a standard selection automatically generated of different concrete wall types, brick types, timber types, steel types, whatever. So for the purposes of this, let's go 90 mil stud partition. That way we can do a 90 mil perimeter wall. There we go. If we click back on our 3D, that's automatically generated straight away, but you can see it is a wrong concrete texture. So if we click that Command T again, click all those, this is the outside face, this is the corners, and this is the internal face. So let's say we want to change the outside face to some sort of steel roof material, because we're going to make almost container-like project. So we're going to go corrugated sheet metal for the outside. For the inside, we want to make plaster, we want to make it look nice. White Haven here, which gives us a color option. It doesn't matter what color options you have. You can paint it whatever you like. It's completely up to you. Oh, sorry, that was the actual edges. So that needs to be also the corrugated roof sheeting. And the last one needs to be the paint. So if we click OK, we will see that the outside has changed to this steel corrugated look, and the inside is our painted plaster. So if we go back to our ground floor plan up the top here, we can jump up to our ground ceiling and we see nothing. Now that might be an issue for you if you're trying to understand what's going on the floor below, or any floor for that matter. What you can do is right click on the story that you want to see and click show as trace reference. And now everything that you've shown on the ground floor plan is shown on that new plan that you're looking at. If we're going to design a ceiling, let's say we go back to that slab tool, which is this one here, and we're going to change those settings. We're going to change that generic slab to this icon here without the compositions across. So it's a basic composition. We're going to make it 10 mil thick. It automatically knows it's plasterboard. It's 3000 above that floor level because that's what we set up our stories originally. And whilst we're here, we might already just paint that all the right color. So we'll paint that titanium white to differentiate the ceilings and the floor. So we click OK, and we're able to join, automatically clicks and creates. So there we go. We have our first box that isn't very exciting, but we'll keep going. So what we also want to do is include a new slab. So let's say we go back to the slab tool and we want to have a 300 mil thick slab. We don't want it to be plasterboard, we actually want it to be concrete. So we find where the structural concrete is, click on that, change that back to the concrete that we used before, concrete light 23. And what we actually want to do is we want to zoom in to the corners and find where the plasterboard separates from the wall material so we can run our sheet beyond. So if we go back to here, click it on the internal and create that slab and then go back into 3D, you'll find that it's just hovering and doing this problematic image now. What we want to do is we can come down to our little man down the bottom, click explore, and use the joystick to play like a video game. So WSAD and C and spacebar help you move around. So what we want to do is actually fly into the house, click on that slab, up here, move it up 300 mil. So now we can see the plaster sitting underneath that concrete slab. We can see the concrete slab above. And the reason we did it 10 mil offset is so we can click on this wall here and ungroup it. So what you want to do is click Alt G, and then you have this stretch height ability. We have to ungroup it because if it isn't ungrouped, it won't let you stretch it. So we can stretch it past there, and then we can continue to stretch it past the footing so the footing isn't seen. But what we didn't do with the footing is articulate that 10 mil offset. So if we click on that layer again, I work a lot in 3D. You can do this obviously in the 2D floor plan, it's completely up to you. We can click and utilize this offset all edges tool. So we can make it bigger or smaller on all edges. What we want to do is bring it in to the inside, press 10 mil, click enter, and there we go. Our cladding has run all the way through to the bottom of the slab. There are multiple ways of doing this. This is the quickest and easiest way, simply for presentation purposes only, not for construction. So keep that in mind. What we want to do is replicate that exact first floor on the next floor and move back to our ground floor plan. We can select all of these walls again individually, or by pressing 1 and clicking Alt G because they are connected. Click Command C for copy, move back to our first floor plan and click Command V for paste. And then it will replicate all the materials, all the parameters, absolutely everything. So we have our first floor. Okay, so we have our structure. Now what needs to happen? It needs a roof. Simply going over to the roof tool on the right hand side, or the roof floor plan, sorry, and clicking roof tool, we are able to start designing our roof. The roof is a very simple tool. You can use it for a single plane mono pitch, or you can use it for a multi-plane typical pitched roof. For this design, we want to select this single plane and start by falling it to the rear. So what we can do is click on the bottom side, move it up, and then draw our roof to the external side. And that roof is created. We'll go back to 3D and we can see our nice big pitched roof. However, that's a little bit too pitched for me in this design, and I want to move it up another 300 or 200 mil, whatever it is, 270 mil. So what we can do is click Command D to activate the move tool. Then you can click on the corner and move it up where you need to. Alternatively, by clicking Command Z, we can undo that. You can click on the corner, look for all these options and look for the drag tool. And then you can drag it up. You can drag it absolutely anywhere, but we need to drag it just there, and we want to reduce the pitch of that. We can do that multiple ways. We can reduce it here, or we can reduce it by going back to the roof plan and clicking the settings tab or Command T. So for the purposes of this, we'll do it in 3D. We want to reduce that to 5 degrees, just a small little pitch. And then what we want to do again is select all those walls, ungroup them by pressing Alt G, drag up to past that roof, click on the roof as well, right click, and then go connect, trim elements to roof and shell, and trim. So now our roof has been perfectly trimmed and we don't need to worry about cutting and moving all those walls individually. Let's move back to the floor plan and go to the ground floor plan. For the purposes, we're not going to design the interior so much, we're just going to add a few doors, windows and walls. So if we go back to the wall tool, walls, external, we're drawing some internal walls. They're probably going to be 75 mil stud just to change it up a bit. And we can draw a couple walls however we want. Basic, we don't really need to be worrying about it. However, what we do want to worry about is the windows and the doors, the elevation and the look and feel of this building. So what we're going to do is start by using the door tool. Opening up the door settings, dragging it to the right page, and searching for door. We know what we're looking for. We're looking for a standard door. ArchiCAD gives you a whole bunch of options that you can choose from, but for the purposes of this, we'll start with ArchiCAD door 24. Moving back up to the very first page and selecting this front view to be able to view the door. What we want to do is click through and change everything how we'd like it to be. You can change it however you want. It's completely up to you. The only thing I'm going to be really changing in this video is the materials. So we're going to come back to material attributes, scroll down and start changing these elements. We don't want it to be white, we want it to be black. So what we're going to do is just go back down, change it to monument. It automatically changes everything quickly and you can just click OK. So let's start putting a couple doors in. We'll put one here, we'll put one here, and we'll put one here. Let's say we also needed a garage door. We can click back on this door 24 and look for our garage door. So we have a garage door 24 with the same options as before. So we're just going to quickly click through to find what we're looking for. In this case, we're looking to change the materials again. So it's in model attributes. We click uniform door surfaces and we're going to paint this black as well. It's going to be a really nice black house because that's trending at the moment. And then all of a sudden you click again and you have two barn doors. So if we were to look at our floor plan, there we go. We're starting to get a little bit of a building coming together. If we go back to the ground floor plan, we can activate the window tool, come back to the windows setting, again, drag it across and select the type of windows we want. So we'll just use fixed windows for the purposes of argument. We'll make this one 3 meters long by 800 high, which makes it a long, narrow, skinny window. Click OK and place a couple windows into the project. So there's one, there's two, there's three. We're going to change the windows up a little bit. We're going to do the exact opposite, go 800 by 28 with a 200 sill height. The sill height is how far it sits off the slab, so we can easily adjust that whenever we need. 1, 2, 3. Now if we go back to our 3D view, we can see all the placement of the doors, the windows and everything. Now personally, I don't like how this looks, so I can easily adjust it in 3D. Let's say we want this door to be 2.8 high to match our windows. We want this window to actually sit higher, so we click click the little drag vertically button and click that. We can multiply that very simply by holding the Alt command, pressing on the door, and then holding Control and Alt and clicking on the door to replicate all the parameters of that door. We can do the same with the window, so Alt, Control and Alt, and it is repeated. It will memorize the last command you did, so if you want to do it multiple times, you can. Now for the purposes of this, we're just running through this quickly. Let's drop all of these windows to 0 sill height. So they all perfectly align now. There we go, that's nice. They all start to align. It's starting to look a bit more like an actual building. It's starting to look a lot better. What we want to continue doing is adding some more windows. So let's go back to the window tool. And maybe we want to do something a bit quirky. Let's say we want a nice big round window. So we scroll through the windows and we've found our round window 24. Let's say we want to make that massive, 2 meters. Sill height, let's say 400 mil. It might be the wrong height, but we'll quickly find out. We'll click through everything to find those model attributes so we can change our window. Click on that, go back to midnight black. Where is our monument? There we go. Click OK and insert this giant circle window. Now that might be horrendous, we're about to find out. Actually, not overly half bad, but I still don't like how big that is. It needs to be bigger. So we can quickly edit that up here. There we go. And then we can also click there, drop it down 100 mil. So now we have a massive, beautiful window that is connected into this design. Now we've got doors and windows, but only on the first floor. So we want to come back to the side panel, click on the first floor, and then start putting in some nice windows up above. Let's say we want a beautiful, long, narrow window across the whole design. Okay, so we want to move back down to our ground floor, hold Alt on one of the windows that we like, and then move back up to our first floor so it replicates those settings and we can click it. Now, let's say we want a corner window. Let's move this across, open up the settings by pressing Command T again, and going through the settings until we find the corner and opening setting. You can easily click on this, look through this list and find exactly what you're looking for. So for us today, it'll be custom corner. Custom corner 1, 90 degrees, simple. Click OK, and I've done the wrong side. So what we can do is click Control M to mirror it, click on the center, and it will automatically flip that window around. So we go by pressing Control D, moving that across, and we have a beautiful corner window. By holding down the Alt key and clicking again, we can replicate that window and move it into place as we want it to be. So if you can't select the window that you're struggling to find, you can tab through items until you find exactly what you're looking for. Now, apologies, I am going extremely quick. I'm trying to get this in 15 minutes and give you as much information as possible. I think I'm well over time already, but we'll cut this down and make it super informative. Going back to the 3D view, now we have our beautiful highlight window that's a little bit too high for my liking. Let's say we only want that 1 meter off the ground. So we're changing that sill height up here and creating that corner window. Let's say we want this corner window to extend. So we click on the window first, we click on the black hotspot and we drag that window out in line with this. It'll automatically snap and let go. Now we have this beautiful long single pane window, which would cost a small fortune, but that's okay. We want to do the same on this side, move this across and end it in line with that window there so we have some symmetry. To keep this relatively uniform, I don't think I need too many more windows on this side. I think that's starting to look a little bit quirky, a little bit fun. Terrible design, but we're doing this just to demonstrate all the features of ArchiCAD 24 as quickly as we can. It's missing some architectural flair now, so what we can do is actually create some unique shapes. If we go back to roof, we can extend the roof another 600 or so by going offset edge. Maybe let's go 3 meters to give it some sort of awning. If we go back to our design, we can see that roof has extended 3 meters over. If we go back to our ground floor plan now, we can show trace reference of the roof so we know exactly how far it extends. Alt over our wall and draw a new wall across here. Now we've extended that wall. It's only on the ground floor plan, but we need it to extend to the top. So we click the black hotspot, adjust the height, and run it to the top. Now for the purposes of this, I want to Command T and give that internal a little bit of a timber feel because, well, at the moment it's a bit boring. So let's just go floorboards 1 for materiality's sake, and I want to replicate that on the roof here. So we're going to go to the roof plan, show trace reference of the ground floor plan, and you'll notice that you can't see anything. That's because the roof has a fill on it. So we want to come over to our trace reference and click that last icon to give it an X-ray view. Now we can still click on our roof. We can come up to the top and select this axe, or we can press Control/, and then all we want to do is run one click, run the axe past the wall, second click, and cut in the direction we want to keep the plane. We're going to fix this roof up by going Command T, painting the inside with that same floorboard 1. And now we have this floorboard wraparound look. If we wanted to get even more quirkier with this design and say we wanted to cut this wall all the way up at a nice degree, you can do that multiple ways, but I think the easiest way for me personally is by using the roof tool. So by using the roof tool, we're going to start here, drag it across, and create just another small roof panel that is going to seem odd at the start, but it'll all make sense in a second. So we've created this roof tool and we're going to drag it to the ground floor footings. It isn't at the right angle for me. There we go. So 67 is probably the perfect amount. Okay, so the easiest way to actually emulate this wall and what we're looking for is by starting and clicking on the wall, then moving up to design and falling down to solid element operations. Moving our new panel across into the window that's being recorded, we're clicking on our roof secondly and adding as the operator. The operator is the one that is cutting and doing the work. We want to subtract with a downwards extrusion. We don't want to delete this bit, we want to delete this bit which is below, hence the downwards. And then all you have to do is click execute and it will delete that section of the wall. We want to make this invisible. So what we're going to do is open up the settings panel again, change that to only 1mm thick and make that a new element which is just air. So if we click on that, change those settings, you can see that we have to 1, adjust that, and 2, readjust the height. But now we have a hidden element that won't be seen in 3D and gives you a perfectly cut section. Now I have an additional plugin to my ArchiCAD 24 which you may or may not have. If you don't have it, that's okay. You don't need it for the purposes of this video. You can simply click these 2 roof elements and change it to material steel, same as we did for the walls. So it's the roof corrugated sheet metal that we're looking for and clicking OK. So it will give you the same appearance all around, which isn't perfect, but you can also change the sides to give you that roof sheet metal. Alternatively, if you do have a plugin, we can go to CI tools, we can go to coverings, and we can go to roof covering. Drag that panel across again, changing that to a corrugated look with some gutters and clicking OK. What you will notice is because we cut the roof, we have this join panel. So we want to click these 2 elements, go back to CI tools, coverings, edit roof edges. We don't need anything here. So we're going to click on that line and go none. And this is not a junction, it is a barge. So we're going to change that to barge and we click OK. So you see it removes that and adds an element to the rear side of this roof. We have a gutter on this side, so theoretically we're going to have downpipes coming in, but we're not going to draw them in for this video. All this purple is giving me a headache, so we're going to go back into the tools, change that purple to black, and if that doesn't do the trick, you can always overwrite the object pen and change it to black. So if we update that, there we go. That element is completely gone, we are safe. Unfortunately, we have messed this up, so we need to quickly change that back to floorboards brown, and we have our house completed. Now we're going to take this over into twinmotion and start rendering it properly. So make sure you install twinmotion, all the plugins, so you can do this properly. That'll be a completely different video, or I'm sure you can search it on YouTube right now. But what you want to do is go to twinmotion 2020 and direct link. And there we go. So we say it's a new project and we click OK. It'll synchronize it, it'll make it, and it will look horrendous. So what we actually want to do is start putting some materials, some textures, and making this look nice. Now it's a different control mechanism for our twinmotion as it is on ArchiCAD, but it's similar to that explore mode. So by clicking on this floor plate, we can drag that up to just hide the bottom of that. But because our door is so much higher, we're going to keep dragging it to the bottom of the door. We're going to open up the side panel, go to materials, ground, nature, grass to drag, drop. And for argument, we're just going to drag it up to 3% scale. And there we go. Now it's looking a little bit odd, it's looking a little bit funny, but we can go back to our library, into our materials, metal, drag that down till we find the nice metal that we're looking for. Aluminium sliding is perfect. That's what we're looking for. We want it black, so we click on the color, we drag it down to where we think black looks good in the settings. I think personally that looks good, so we're going to click and use that. Now we go. We can click the little eyedropper and select the ArchiCAD materials, which is metal aluminium. Now if we want to replicate the colors, we click back on that sliding material that we just selected, click on the color, double click on the hashtag color number, copy that across, go back, click on our windows again, click on the color and paste that number in. So all those colors are identical. They don't look identical, so what we're actually going to do is copy the monument black and use that there. Now there isn't too much on this project, so we're going to change the glass to reflective, which is perfect. We're going to change that wood look because it doesn't look nice to this dark timber, and we're going to change the rotation 90 degrees. So if you missed that, it was just in more on scale. Again, very quick tutorial, I hope you're keeping up. So if we come back out, we have this stunning home that is looking very odd in its settings. So we want to change that up a little bit. We want to click down here to the settings. The location allows us to change the date and time and the actual location. So if we move that down just before sunset, somewhere about, there's looking quite nice personally speaking. We're going to go back to settings, change the weather, add some clouds, beautiful, back to location and the background. So it looks a little bit odd. Let's put it in a mountain view. Okay, so we have our building that's almost ready to export. If we come up, we're going to just quickly add some trees. So for me personally, it's just come into the trees, go to the tree section, click on one tree once. Let's give ourselves some room, and we're only going to take one image, so we're just going to click like crazy to create some trees and some forestry. Okay, so that's all the trees I'm going to add. Then I'm going to add a few little shrubs here and there just to give that bush forest look. We're going to click as many as we can. We might need to add some more later on, but we'll find out. There is an alternative method to doing this, which is a lot quicker and easier, but I like the control and the consistency. If you want to do it a different method, you can click down here, go vegetation paint, and select whatever tree or whatever shrub you want to paint. So we'll use that base bush, click there, click the paint button, and just draw lots and lots and lots without having to click a million times. You also have that option, but again, I like the clicking, I like the satisfaction. And there we go, we're ready to export our image. All we have to do is click Media, Image, Create First Image. Now, it's automatically shifted that out. So we want to go to Camera, we want to go to More, and then Camera Settings, and start bringing that in a little bit. Maybe about 75. We don't want depth of field, we don't want that, we don't want that. And then we're going to go back to our image, readjust our positioning, there, refresh and recapture. Then we're going to go Export, Image, click on the one image, and click Start Export. For arguments, we'll just select the desktop and let it export. Export is relatively quick for one image, take a couple seconds, but we'll let it do its thing. And there you have it, guys. That render is exported, it's done, it's perfect for that first consultation. That project hopefully took only about 15 minutes, but looking at my timer, we're well over 40 minutes. So I'm gonna try to condense this as much as I can, and hopefully it provided some use and value. Anyway, that's all for me today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got some information out of it. If you did, again, I apologize for the speed. Make sure you smash that subscribe button down below. Today's video is part of my 28 videos in 28 days series. So it's usually I will see you next Monday, but because we are still in February, I will see you tomorrow.